How did a Japanese palace end up on a hill overlooking Hollywood? Hi everyone, Ken here. Today we are uncovering the history behind Yamashiro. Hit that subscribe button and let's explore this house. In the 1880s, the Bernheimer brothers began emigrating to the New World from Germany. They came from a wealthy mercantile family and planned to establish themselves in New York City. Upon arriving, they quickly began growing the Bear Mill Manufacturing Company in Manhattan, a misleading name for a company that manufactured nothing and owned exactly 0 mills. In reality, it was a continuation of their family's mercantile trade. They would ship raw materials to Asia, which would then be converted into fine silks and garments, then shipped back to the US for retail, much in the same way that many retailers structure their supply chains today, just they were way ahead of the trend. This made the brothers incredibly wealthy and required them to constantly travel to countries like China and Japan, where they began collecting Asian antiques. Two of the brothers specifically spent millions of dollars on such things, those two being Adolf and Eugene. They had been born 1 year apart from each other and had been inseparable throughout their entire lives. In 1911, they decided that instead of building homes near each other, they would bring their families together under one roof. In that same year, they purchased a 7-acre hilltop in Hollywood where they would begin planning their duo mansion. They commissioned architect Franklin M. Small to design for them an estate named Yamashiro, which would stand tall above its surroundings, dwarfing all the millionaires' mansions below it. The estate was planned to come complete with lavish gardens radiating from the main house and dotted by pagodas, waterfalls, and walking trails. The brothers wanted their Japanese estate to be as authentic as possible and brought over hundreds of workers from Japan to not only capture the aesthetic, but to employ traditional building methods. When Yamashiro was finally completed in 1914, it became one of the most visible landmarks in the Los Angeles area and could be seen from miles away. In traditional fashion, the home was planned to be viewed sculpturally, with its drive winding about to offer an oblique approach to the gate. From the ground, we find that the gate, garage, and main house weren't centered on each other, but instead were offset to create a sort of feng shui. Being configured this way, the house had no true front nor back, though there was a main entrance which we will see soon enough. First we'll head around to the side that looks out over Hollywood and begin making our way down the stairs to explore the gardens. As we continue from one terrace to another, we pass below the garden gate and continue our descent. Then we turn to the side to find that Hollywood has disappeared and we've been transported to Japan. The village of miniatures is arranged around flowing streams with scaled-down bridges and trees pruned to be an appropriate height. Some of these pagodas were plucked straight from Asia and imported, making them among the oldest buildings in the United States. To understand the true scale, it helps to see how people appear almost as giants as they make their way through the garden. We could spend all day getting lost as we explore the grounds, but the real reason we're here is to tour the house. Let's make our way back up the hill until we see the duo mansion come back into view. Once again, there's no true front or back of the house, so this is as good of a place as any to start our tour. Swinging open the double doors leads us into the hall, clad in intricate woodwork with tile mosaics covered over by fine rugs, and straight ahead, beyond folding Japanese screens, is the courtyard. The courtyard is the true heart of the home, with many rooms opening out into it where we can imagine the two families gathering to walk between wings. One such room that opens out to the courtyard is the tea room, which could be enlarged by retracting the wall of screens. Here we find an Americanized version of zabutons placed about for sitting on, more in bench fashion than in the traditional floor placement. As we travel about the courtyard, we'll see these same themes play out in several of the rooms, including this one, which has an incredibly intricate plaster cherry blossom tree spanning across the ceiling in vibrant painted colors. Though not all the rooms adhere so strictly to the style, as is evidenced by the sitting room. Here we find luxurious but typical seating options for an American home mixed with Asian furniture and decorations. As the brothers' collection grew, they changed out furniture and brought in silk wall panels to cover over the windows. Unlike the popular Moorish smoking rooms of this time period, theirs carried over the same cohesive themes we've seen throughout the house. Though perhaps the most American of the rooms was the dining room, with French doors and traditional wainscoting mixed with imported silk wallpaper. The bedrooms contained a good mix of original Asian antiques along with imaginative furniture to function more as the brothers were accustomed to. While each brother had his own room, they were nearly mere images of each other's save the finishes and decor. In the early 1920s, Eugene unexpectedly passed away, and Adolf couldn't stand to continue living in the house he had built with his brother. He sold Yamashiro and built a new house in Pacific Palisades. Once again, it was filled with antiques, and the grounds were dotted with miniatures. He lived out the rest of his life here, passing away in 1944. Unfortunately, after a few landslides and some redevelopment, this property was all but lost to time. As for Yamashiro, during World War II, conspiracy theories ran rampant through the public as anti-Japanese sentiments spread, leading misguided people to vandalize the estate under the false belief that it was somehow being used to transmit signals overseas. The then owner ended up covering over the building with a false facade before it was converted for use as a military school and then an apartment complex. Thankfully, its next owner uncovered many of the false facades to discover that much of the original finishes were still intact. Since the mid-20th century, it has been renovated and restored and been reimagined as the Yamashiro restaurant, which remains open to this day. What did you think about this unique estate? Did anything stick out to you? Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments section, and while you're there, make sure you're subscribed so you never miss an exciting episode of This House.